What's good people? This is Immersive, and here are 10 tips for those brave enough to move to Miami. The first tip is a question. ¿Hablas español? Or do you speak Spanish? Miami-Dade's population is roughly 70% Hispanic. The Spanish language is frequently heard when cruising in and around Miami. This is true in almost every part of the vast Miami-Dade metro, but especially in areas like Doral, Little Havana, Hialeah, and Homestead, where some or possibly all of the signage may be in Spanish. If you don't know Spanish, todo bien. It's all good. There are enough English speakers around that you should be fine no matter the scenario. Speaking Spanish fluently isn't a mandate for residents or visitors, but it does help a lot because knowing Spanish does give many an unspoken advantage when speaking with people whose native language is Spanish, obviously. Something to keep in mind. Number 2, get ready to drive. With over 2.8 million residents, Miami-Dade County is the 7th most populous county in the United States. That's more than the borough of Queens, more than Dallas, more than Brooklyn, and the population has seen roughly a 5% increase since 2020. And you think with that population, there would be a robust mass transit network to shuttle people back and forth, right? Wrong. And while I'll speak on traffic next, Miami-Dade's mass transit system is not where it needs to be to handle the number of people that live here. In fact, over 85% of Miami-Dade residents use a car for their daily activities. That's a lot of cars. A seemingly constant stream of civil works projects focus mainly on road improvements. Miami has a lot of roads, but not a lot of seriously viable passenger rail or other mass transit options. The Metro Rail, the main intra-county commuter rail service, hasn't seen a serious network upgrade in its lifetime, save maybe a spur route to the Miami International Airport and admittedly clean and modern rolling stock. The Metro bus has an expansive network, but it's often nullified because they are also stuck in. Number 3, traffic. It's worse than you think. Take your preconceived notions about Miami's traffic and then drop it down a couple more notches. There. That's where Miami's traffic is. Some of the traffic is caused by reckless drivers, using the shoulder to pass, casual no-look lane changes, going slow in the fast lane, driving a Nissan Altima, all things that are annoying at best. Then you couple that with narrow city streets, often one-way streets if you're downtown or in Brickell, continued building of high-rise residential buildings, each introducing 500 to 1,500 new people per tower to these narrow streets with limited transportation options, limited rapid transportation options, and don't get me started on the Miami Drawbridge. And what you have is unplanned but still predictable gridlock. Unplanned because the construction seems nonstop, but predictable because what did you think was going to happen? This doesn't even take into consideration the two massive, almost $2 billion combined highway projects underway at the same time on 2 of the busiest roads in the entire county. In fact, I put together a video discussing these 2 projects in detail. I'll link that below. Sprinkle in some liquid sunshine during our rainy season and you have 10-mile commutes that can take upwards of 45 minutes or longer. Before going on to number 4, if you'd like to learn more about travel in and around Miami, the roads, runways, and rails, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Let's go on to number 4, toll roads and express lanes. If you live in metros like New York City or Boston or even Orlando, where toll roads are ubiquitous, then you'll probably be used to readily taking toll roads in Miami-Dade County. Many times the convenience of a nearby tolled roadway is worth the couple of dollars instead of taking a toll-free route that's 15 minutes out of the way. Newcomers from metros that have few to no tolls may not be expecting the prevalence of toll roads across our county. 3 of the major toll roads many drivers experience on their commutes or daily travels are the Florida's Turnpike, State Road 112, that's the Airport Expressway, and State Road 836, aka the Dolphin Expressway. While not quite toll roads, there are also express lanes, which are dedicated lanes on Interstate 95, State Road 826, which is the Palmetto Expressway, and the Homestead extension of Florida's Turnpike that bypass many of the local exits to avoid common pinch points for those traveling further down the road. Express lanes on I-95 from downtown to the Broward County line are unique as they are dynamically tolled, meaning the price changes depending on the traffic load. Prices spike during rush hour, typically $4 to $7 in the morning and up to $12 during the afternoon rush. If you think that's high, wait until you check out number 5, Miami's extremely high cost of living. This may not come as a surprise to many, especially since Miami is known as a luxurious and extravagant destination, but it's quite expensive to live here. While not as pricey as, say, New York City or San Francisco, Miami's cost of living is still quite high. One expense to take into account is likely a higher car insurance premium. Thanks to the heavy traffic discussed earlier, more cars on the road means a greater incidence for accidents. thus riskier coverage for insurance firms. Homeowners insurance can be elevated too, largely due to the weather Miami regularly experiences. Strong winds and flooding from summer rainstorms, annual king tide flooding, devastating hurricanes, all contribute to more claims and therefore higher premiums. According to payscale.com, Miami features a cost of living that is 21% higher than the national average and housing roughly 60% above average. This information, which I will link below, also mentions that the average cost of a home in Miami is over $800,000. Before finishing off the back half of this list, I just want to let you know that I put together the ultimate Miami driver's guide. I put together an overview of Miami's top neighborhoods, how to get around the city without losing your mind, and accurate travel times between major destinations. It's pretty comprehensive and you can check it out via the link in the description. Number 6, you won't go to the beach as much as you think you would. If you decide to move on down to Miami, you'll likely get sour looks from your friends and family who imagine that you'll be kicking back and relaxing on the beach no less than twice a week. I, for one, wish it were so easy. I hate to break this to you, but that is rarely the reality for most Miami residents. Outside of those that live oceanfront, if you live immediately along the coast, then yes, perhaps you will be able to take those morning beachside strolls. But for other Miamians, the day-to-day routine takes over. You got your job, your meetings, you're stuck in traffic, your kids got something, getting ready for meal for the night. Miami is on the coast, yes, but most residents aren't on the beach every week. And sometimes not even every month. I personally know people that live in Miami and have not been to the beach in years. Very hard to believe, but it's very true. Really, the only Miamians that frequent the beach are those beachfront residents, the tourists, and the employees that support those residents and tourists. Everyone else, they're not going to the beach all the time. Think of it like Las Vegas. When do you see people from Las Vegas actually on the Vegas Strip? When they are working the casinos, the table games, the restaurants, the bars, or even the shows. They usually aren't the residents that are there at the main casinos. Why? Because the Vegas Strip is there to entertain the tourists. Speaking of tourists, number 7, tourist area avoidance. If you choose to live in South Beach, Brickell, or Wynwood, it's almost a given that you're going to run into throngs of tourists, simply because those are the tourist areas. These are usually the more expensive areas to do simple day-to-day activities, a tourist tax, if you will. That said, if you don't live in those areas, you're probably not going to be frequenting them often. Maybe if you're younger, in your 20s, early 30s, and single, you might hang around in those areas a bit more. But unless you are showing your out-of-town friends a good time in the city, or going out to a concert, or celebrating something at a nice restaurant in Brickell or downtown, you're usually not going to be in these more touristy areas. All right, number 8, going to sporting events versus leaving them. South Florida is fortunate enough to have 5 major sports teams in the area. Formula One, which just signed an extension to keep the Miami Grand Prix here until 2041, races on the grounds of the Hard Rock Stadium. The Miami Open and this year's FIFA World Cup were held here. Next year, there are going to be several matches here at Hard Rock Stadium, and the 3rd place match, the bronze match, is going to be held in Miami as well. So Miami is a hotbed for sports and sporting events. As you would expect, the events are electric and the venues state of the art. And getting to the stadiums is usually not too much of a hassle. It's the leaving part that's the problem. Except for the Florida Panthers Stadium, the other venues are an absolute nightmare to navigate post-game. Navigating downtown is already a mission, but leaving a Miami Heat game is maddening, with crowded parking garages all filing out into those narrow one-lane, one-way streets. Leaving Hard Rock Stadium is slightly better given its proximity to the turnpike, but a few miles just to the south, the traffic tends to bind up at the Golden Glaze interchange, especially with the major construction project I had already linked or referenced before. Lane closures are quite common these days, and even more at nighttime. The absolute worst post-game exit experience, however, has got to be at Lone Depot Park. Whether it's a Miami Marlins game, Savannah Bananas, any big event that's going to be at Lone Depot Park, it's always a problem. Like I said, the games and the concerts there are a great time, but a lot of people leave after the 7th inning stretch for the baseball game just to get a head start on the traffic. There have been times where the line to the parking garage after a game does not move for a full hour. A full hour. The venue is built on the side of the old Orange Bowl, and it's right in the middle of a residential neighborhood. There aren't a lot of public transportation options nearby, and the shuttles to any nearby options are often stuck in that very same traffic. So it's super frustrating. Now with Inter Miami FC building their new stadium right off of the Dolphin Expressway, right next to the airport, get ready for even more traffic. Number 9 is weather. One thing that people celebrate at Miami is our weather. And one thing that people dislike about Miami is our weather. Let me explain. In the dry season from mid-November through mid-May, Miami features some of the country's most pleasant weather. Lows in the upper 50s through the 60s with highs from the 70s to the upper 80s. The key though is the low humidity. It is the best weather to be outside and take care of any lawn activities, grab a meal on a balcony, or just relax on the beach if you happen to make it out there. It's a very special feeling during January through March when the rest of the country is freezing under layers of snow, sleet, ice, and frigid air. Down here, we're enjoying beautifully dry, balmy weather. There's an opposite side to the coin though, and that's during our rainy season, mid-May through mid-November. Given Miami's location on the coast of the Florida Peninsula, it's subject to daily showers and thunderstorms. The weather is hot with upper 70s and 80s for lows and 80s and 90s for the highs, and extremely humid. And while Miami has only had a few true triple-digit days, the heat index values cross into the low 100-degree marks multiple times each summer. Hurricane season is also during rainy season, so June through November. And when hurricanes roll around, all bets are off regarding any prevailing weather patterns. The hurricane is the weather pattern at that point. Gusty winds and torrential downpours are common with any passing rain bands, along with potentially devastating flooding and storm surge if we get impacted by the core of the storm. Miami's been lucky the past few years, but the threat is always there. It's the price we pay for paradise. And number 10, Miami is a great departure point. Whether you are traveling by car, train, boat, or plane, Miami is a premier departure city for pretty much most of the world. First, we've talked about driving around here, but from Miami, it's only a 3-hour drive to Orlando, 3-hour drive to Key West, and a 4-hour drive to Tampa in good weather. If traveling by rail, Amtrak has serviced the area for decades, connecting the eastern seaboard to Miami. 2 trains arrive and depart daily, both with scenic and leisurely service. Brightline is the newest rail option in South Florida, touted as the country's only high-speed rail outside of the Northeast. And with current luxury service to Orlando on a comfortable and limited stop service, there are plans to expand the routes in the future so that Florida can experience what other countries have already known for years regarding efficient and effective rail service. Port Miami is the busiest passenger cruise port in the world. Almost every major cruise line operates out of Miami, with multiple itineraries to the Bahamas, Mexico, Turks and Caicos, and many other Caribbean ports. Finally, nonstop flight options from Miami International Airport are plentiful. American Airlines has a major base of operations out of MIA and provides service to most of the Caribbean nations and to much of the US. You can connect with daily flights from small airports like Gainesville, Florida, all the way up to massive airports like London, Heathrow, or Dubai. Additionally, you can fly to any Central American nation and Caribbean nation and almost every South American nation from Miami. Venezuela and Paraguay, the notable exceptions. And then if you can't easily get here or there from Miami, try Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport. There are over 100 destinations from FLL, and sometimes they're at a fraction of the cost. And those were 10 tips to consider if you're brave enough to move to Miami. I'd say that as a whole, Miami, compared to other US cities, Miami is it's an above average city. It's got a great blend of culture, good to great weather half of the year, solid nonstop travel destinations, and an abundance of leisure activities. Some disadvantages that keep it from being truly great, or like that truly alpha city, are the high cost of living, very high cost of living, the stormy weather the other half of the year, and the glaringly bad absence of effective traffic flow and efficient transportation options in a metro of its size. So, what do you think about Miami? Were there any tips that you think that newcomers should be aware of? If you've never been to Miami before, what exactly are you looking forward to? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like the info here, consider subscribing to the channel. Make sure to check out that Miami driver's guide for information, detailed information about getting around Miami. Take care of yourself, and bye for now.